Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. So in today's video I'm going to be recommending you some books that I think you should read in 2025. Let's just get right into it. Okay, so the first book we have is Darling Venom. This one is one of my favourite books. Please check trigger warnings if you're thinking of reading this one though, because there are some hard topics that are discussed and some very triggering stuff that are also discussed. But this one is about our female main character. She's thinking of doing something I don't really want to talk about just in case it's triggering, but then she goes on top of this roof, and as she's on this roof she meets someone, and they promise each other that every year they're going to meet up back on the roof and check on each other, make sure each other are okay. They did that for 4 years before her friend that she met on the roof ends up passing away, and then obviously she's trying to grieve through that and stuff, and she meets her friend's older brother, who her friend talked not so good things about, like not so nicely and highly about. So then she obviously despises his older brother, who is our main male character. So it is a enemies to lovers. Like I said, there's some triggering topics. I'll try to explain it where it's not triggering, but this book is just really good and I loved the mental health rep in it. I think it was done so well. Then we have 1% of You by Michelle Gross. I haven't read this one in a while, but this one is a favourite. I was hoping to reread it in 2024, but I haven't got around to it, unfortunately. But this one is about a single mom. So this guy moves in next door, and the mother and her daughter is like in the front yard and like getting in the car and stuff, and then the daughter speaks to him, and that is how like the encounter kind of starts. I just loved how he treated her daughter. Considering if I remember correctly, he doesn't like kids. He finds them quite annoying. So just from the back considering, I just love that so much. But it says, make no mistake about it, I know what I look like to others, young, government aided pregnant mom. See Lucy on my hip and they see a mistake. I mean, why else would someone have a child so young, right? It couldn't be more wrong. I'm too busy most days between parenting, work and finishing up my last year of nursing school to let their judging gaze tear me down until he moves into the vacant house next to the apartments I live in. His cold, blunt observation of us doesn't differ from any other stranger. He doesn't know me, but he's already painting a picture of who he thinks I am in his mind. He judges my very round belly, Lucy's inability to leave him alone, the bags in my eyes, and the fact that I couldn't care less what I look like anymore. He's a rude guy, stays that way for months too. Then something happens. I'm not even sure what. Judgmental guy decides Lucy and me, as well as baby Eli, are worth his friendship. Turns out judgmental guy isn't too mean. Okay, he kind of still is, but he graduates to Elijah. I built an unlikely friendship with him, which deems it necessary for him to start smiling around me and my kids. I'm wrong again. Elijah isn't rude. He's terrifying. His strange acts of kindness are unraveling me. Elijah is only my friend, right? Oh fudge, I think I'm wrong again. So yeah, sounds very fun. I love this one, and it's also a quick read. It's 137 pages, but like you'll read it in no time. Then we have the Mind F series. This one is actually a popular one, so there's actually 5 small like novellas within this, and it is about Lana, and she is on this mission to kill every man that did her wrong. Then we have Logan Bennett, who is the detective on Lana's case, for them to start dating, and Logan doesn't know that Lana is the one he's looking for and whose case he's working on. Trust me, I did not do that justice. It is so good. It's like one of the best books ever, and let's just say when it comes to Lana, support girls' wrongs. Like that is the type of thing. Let's just say Lana is probably the most powerful woman I've ever read about, and I love it. Also, they do fly by quickly. Like they're just over 100-ish pages each one, but you'll read them in no time. Then we have Here With Me by Brooke Montgomery. I will actually recommend the whole series. There is currently 5 books in the series, and there's one going to be coming out in 2025, I think in February. Before this one, there's actually like a little novella called Come For Me, but this is the one I started with, and then I went back and read that one. It doesn't really matter too much, they're not in order, but this one personally is one of my favourites in the series, except for Only With Me, which is the 4th book. So this one, it's set in a small town, and we have a main female character, and she has just broken up with her boyfriend, and she's like trying to move on with her life, and she meets this guy, and she has a one-night stand with him. But then it turns out that this guy she just had a one-night stand with is her ex-boyfriend's dad. So it's age gap, small town, ex-boyfriend's dad. Can't get any better in my opinion. I just love all this. I don't feel like I did it justice, but this book is one of my favourites. I loved it so much, and I read it so quickly. Yeah, it's almost 400 pages, but It's such a fast read. I love this whole series. If you love the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver, you will love this series. Then we have The Right Move by Liz Tomford. If you don't know this already, this is literally one of my favourite books ever. I talk about it a lot, but I don't feel like I talk about it enough. Love this book. If you haven't read it yet, go read it, or read it in 2025. That should be your goal. Haven't read it yet, please do. And if you do, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Chat with me about it. Yeah, so this is about Indy, and she is looking for a place to stay, and her best friend is the one that is actually in Mile High, which is the first book, but you can read them as standalones. You won't be missing anything about it. And her best friend is like, oh, I think my brother has a place where you can stay. So she asks her brother, who is Ryan, if her friend Indy can stay. And he's not too joyful about it because he's like, he likes his own space. He's also a basketball player. He likes his own space, but he's like, I'll do anything for my sister, sure. Your best friend can stay for a bit. So Indy ends up moving in with Ryan. The acts of service in this, like, that is one of my love languages. But the acts of service in this, what Ryan does for Indy is just everything to me. A relationship is everything. I was obsessed with this book. I read it so quickly. 5 stars. There was no doubt in my mind that this was a 5-star. I didn't even get 100 pages in and I was like 5 stars. That is how good it is. There's not many books that I read that are like that, where I don't even get 100 pages in and I'm like 5 stars. This is literally a 5-star feeling from the back. And then moving on from that is another one of my favourites within that series, and that is Caught Up, which is the 3rd book in the series, and this is obviously my 2nd favourite within the series of 4 books. And this one is about, she is a high-end pastry chef, but she ends up having to go home for a bit. And then there's Kai, and I think Kai is also a basketball player, and Miller is Kai's coach's daughter. So Kai is having to go on like this tour thing, and he's a single dad of a little boy and he needs help, but he doesn't like want the help, if that makes sense. He would prefer to do it himself, but his coach is like, my daughter can help you, she can be the nanny, like you can kind of travel with us, help you out with your son while you're busy and everything like that. And he's not too fond of it at first, but he's like, you know what, I need the help, I'll do it type thing. And that is when like there is like a romance that begins. But there's kind of like a, I don't want to say enemies to lovers, but they're not like a big fan of each other. They don't really like talk or anything, and then they kind of turn into friends, and then, you know, all that stuff. But I just absolutely love this book. I don't think I did that justice at all. Please read this. Don't go by go by what I just said, but just think of it like 10 times better. I really want everyone to read this one, so if you haven't read it yet, read this one as well. I mean, read the whole series because the whole series is good. Okay, and then this one is quite a controversial one. You've probably already read it because it's quite popular, but I just have to talk about it. And if you haven't yet, I recommend it. If you are able to read it, check the trigger warnings because it is quite a triggering book, and it's not for everyone because it is a dark romance. It's not for you, it's understandable, but that is Haunting Adeline. So this is the first book, and I can't really talk about this one too much because it is better if you go into it blind. But it is a short little synopsis. It's about a female main character and she is being watched, and that's what I'm going to say because I don't want to talk about it too much. It will spoil it. I wonder if I can read. No, I won't even read the back. I would say go into it blind. That's what I did. I didn't know anything about this book, nothing at all. I went into it blind and I loved it, and everything, it just kept getting better and better. So if you read this one and you decide to read this one and you love this one, then please pick up Haunting Adeline, which is the 2nd book. I rated this one 5 stars. This one to me is so much better because I feel like so much more happens within this one. Both of them generally are just amazing. I absolutely love this series and I would highly recommend to pick it up if it's going to be for you and if you are able to. And then finally we had Gothicana. I also read this year and I loved it. Again, this one is one you want to go into as blind as you possibly can because, again, what I did, and I loved it. I wasn't expecting anything out of it, and I feel like that's what made the experience more enjoyable for me because I wasn't expecting anything from it and I loved it so much. I just thought, all I heard from it was teacher student, and I was like, huh, okay, teacher student, but it seems dark. All I'm going to say, I didn't even know this, but I think some people do say it. All I'm going to say is there is a mystery element to it. So quick summary, if you do want to know, skip a few minutes if you don't want to know and you do want to go into it blind. But basically it's about a female main character. She gets invited to her boarding school, she ends up going, and then she starts hearing all these things about this boarding school and what happened at this boarding school, and that there's this specific teacher that everyone thinks is a bit like shady and that he's got like loads of secrets. That is all I'm going to say about that one. I'm going to keep it as blunt as I possibly can, but please read this. I read it in one sitting. That is how good it is. Those are the books that I have to recommend. There were so many books I wanted to recommend, but I just didn't want to overwhelm you all, and so those are the ones that I would like, please read, and I would love to hear your thoughts. Comment down below if you read them and what your thoughts were, or if you're going to read them and plan on, and come back to this video afterwards and chat in the comments, because these are the books I would love to hear everyone's thoughts about, even if you don't like them. Everyone has different tastes, I understand that. Yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave this emoji if you're watching to the end, and hope to see you all in my next one. Bye.